Welcome back to the Alpha Evolution, where we learn about game, seduction, and healthy domination. I am your friendly neighborhood game host, Coach Justin. And today we're going to be talking about how women make better simps. You see, when a woman is simping for you, she is trying to win your approval. And this is actually synergistic to when a man is leading. When a man is leading, he has people underneath him. And now this isn't a place to look down upon. It doesn't mean that when a woman is simping, she is less than, right? Because men actually don't really know how to make women feel good about being submissive. That's part of the problem. Now let's compare this to when a man is simping. There's just something about if you could envision a woman standing and a man on all fours in front of her. It's not sexy for a man to look at, and it's not sexy for a woman to look at. Because the energy dynamic is off. She does not have respect for that guy. She can't. She's literally looking down at him. Now, you flip that when a woman is able to metaphorically or literally be on all fours in front of a man isn't going to look down on her in the way that he feels that she is beneath him. Because like I said, men who understand domination, men who understand leadership, they know how to make a woman feel good about being submissive. And a lot of you guys don't even know how to do that. That is, like I said before, that is one of the major problems of most men. That's part of the leadership. That's part of the responsibility. That's part of the domination, is having responsibility for the person that you are dominating. If you want to dominate just to dominate, you're actually doing it just so you can feel good. You're using that person so that you can feel better about yourself. Because likely you either have an overblown ego or you don't actually love yourself. So you're using this person, manipulating them to be in a position beneath you, so to speak, so that you can feel more superior. Because if you had already felt superior, if you already felt amazing, you wouldn't need to create a dynamic like that in order to feel better about yourself. Now, that's not to say that every dynamic like that has the impression behind it with that sort of dynamic. So every single dominant and submissive synergy doesn't mean that the dominant is using that person to feel better about themselves. That's only something that can be picked apart from the inside. So those of you who are more on the judging side of things, do not judge when you see this sort of thing because you don't know. What I can say is through knowing a number of men, having worked with a number of men, and realizing that most men do not have a great sense of character. They don't have a great sense of self. They don't have a strong pillar inside them in order to lead a woman, in order to dominate her. Because I'll say this, I have yet to come across a woman in my intimate life who does not enjoy being dominated. But here's the thing. Guys hear that and they automatically go to sex, or they automatically go to bossing her around. And this can't be further from the truth. Giving direction, giving orders, that is just an expression of dominance. Sexuality is just an expression of the dominance. It's not the dominance itself. It can show up in tons of ways. And it literally comes back to him. It comes back to how he sees himself. And it's actually a form of identity. How all these people, there's like all these different identifications for like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm poly, I'm queer, I'm this or that. There's all these different identifications that people like impose on themselves or discover about themselves, right? So domination, being dominant, it's not something that you just choose to do. And for the guys who choose to do this, you have no idea what you're doing. It's like you're choosing to play a sport, but because it's seen as popular, or your parents want you to do it, or you're being pressured to do it, or you look at it and you think it's cool, so you're going to do it. That sport doesn't actually run deep in your veins, right? That's why it's important to know who you are, because there's a lot of guys out here capping, thinking that they're dominant when they're actually not. It's a state of being. It's not just something that you can put on like a hat and say, okay, today I'm going to be a dominant man, and then I'm at the end of the day I'm going to take off my hat and do something else. It doesn't work that way. But like I said, I have not come across a woman in my intimate life who doesn't enjoy being dominated. But it's because I know how to make a woman feel good about being submissive. Now, how does that look? So you might be wondering, well, what do you mean? How does that appear in a dynamic, in a relationship? Well, you never make her feel like shit for being submissive to you. You make note of when she is doing a good job, and you reward her. And a lot of guys, truth be told, a lot of guys will feel really uncomfortable about this, because to them, that makes them think that she is beneath him, when she's not. She's not beneath him. She is adjacent. There is no, I'm superior, you're inferior. That hasn't anything to do with real dominance. Really, a dominant man is just being himself. And the type of woman she is, based on what she sees and hears and feels from him, is drawn to him. But guys have it all fucked up. And I'll tell you how. A lot of guys, they choose one front and they try to position themselves as someone who is approachable, someone who is nice, someone who is agreeable. They come off as a non-threat. And they say to these ladies, I'm not like these other guys. I'm going to treat you well. I'm not like your last boyfriend, right? And then inside, they want all these other different things. That's why I say it's important to have congruence. Congruence is what? Having an alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So if you find yourself thinking something and saying something else and doing something else, you are out of alignment. And like the last video I made, the path of least resistance is what makes the river crooked. So we have guys who have crooked rivers inside them, who are leading relationships or getting into relationships and trying to lead them, and then end up with crooked relationships. Makes sense, right? But because dudes are so fucking needy, you guys are so needy that you get yourself wrapped up into situations that you are ill-equipped to manage. And you think that there is supposed to have this natural guidance, like as if the relationship itself can guide itself. That doesn't make any sense. It's a non-entity. Relationships can't make their own decisions. So someone of the two parties is going to be making decisions. And if she's making all the decisions, you are following her. All the while, you're wanting to be this leader. You're wanting to be an influence in her. You want to be an influence in the relationship. Yet you're all screwed up. You've got that twisted river inside you. Now, how did it get to be that way? How did you get to be so twisted? Well, that's something for you to find out. And if you can't figure it out, that's why you need coaching. Because that's what we do. We help you discover who the fake you is. We peel it apart and we show you the real you. We show you how you have been fucking yourself without even knowing it. By having false beliefs about yourself, false perceptions about women, false perceptions about reality. Because I'll tell you what, when you wake up to yourself, there's this whole other reality. I might have mentioned this before, but I remember this Zen parable where this boy walks up to this monk and he says, "Hey monk, what is enlightenment like?" And the monk thinks for a second and he says, "It's a lot like everyday life, except you're walking 2 inches off the ground." And that's exactly what it is to come to terms with yourself and accept who you are, love who you are, and then build on that. I was on Mr. Lucario and Miles Cunningham's show last night, and we were talking about what it looks like when a woman submits to you. I'd say at the onset. And at the onset, she's going to be asking questions, not about you, okay? She's not going to be interviewing you. So if you're being interviewed, that's a sure sign that she is only surface level interested in you, which means either she doesn't value you or you haven't presented yourself in such a way that gives her enough to start making a shift. And what is that shift? That shift looks like her asking questions of, excuse me, how can she fit in? She'll say, "What can I do for you?" She'll say, "How would you like to be addressed?" Because that's what happens when someone comes into a place where there's an authority, or at least a perceived authority, and you don't know how to address them. So you say, do I call you Mr.? Do I call you Sir? Do I call you Mr. Adams? What do I call you? And that is how it looks. Because someone, when coming into a place where there's an authority figure, they're trying to win their favor. And when you can see a woman who, say, has been leading herself for 20, 30 years, not answering to anyone except herself, when she's shifting out of that, that is a surefire sign that you're on the right path. And guys will say, "Well, how do I do that? How do I get a woman to how do I get a woman to say these things?" And then when you're asking this, that shows that you're still insecure, because you're wanting to hear these things because you think it'll feel good. Now, does it? Sure. But men like myself and men who are in positions like myself, you don't really care, right? It's kind of like when a ruler is given a gift, right, by one of his subjects. He's not going to just pass it off and just be like, "Oh, that's bullshit. Fuck off." Right? I mean, they might, but the point is that the gift doesn't create an emotional impact. They'll say, "Thank you. I really appreciate the gift." The guy's assistant will take it away, and so on and so on. Because they're really more focused on bigger, more important things. It doesn't affect them. But there's something weird if I were to say, what if there was a ruler or a king asking for gifts, or saying to his people, how do I get people to give me gifts? Doesn't that sound weird? He shouldn't have to. Why is his mind even in that place? Right? It doesn't make any sense. So if you're in that place wondering, how do I get women to respond to me that way? That means you are on the wrong side of the street, friend. You're trying to still use women to feel better about yourself. Cut the crap. Stop using women. But when they're in this position and the woman can look at you and you see that twinkle in her eyes, it's a crazy sensation. And the only other place that I've ever seen it is with my daughter. And there could be some like similarities there, correlation, the dynamic between a father and a daughter and a man and a woman. Because my daughter consistently looks at me with that twinkle in her eyes, like I am her hero. If a woman has never looked at you like that, she's either so entrenched in her own leadership that she just doesn't see you like that, or you don't have the characteristics and qualities to affect her in that way. And you don't know how to talk to women. You don't know how to engage their emotions. You don't know how to engage their imagination. Because there was something that was said this morning on AV's show. All right, that's Alpha Villains. Go check him out on YouTube. He's got a great morning show called Finish Your Breakfast. Great guy. And one of his commenters during the live feed said that women are an empty vessel. And for men who understand dynamics, men who understand energy and the synergy that can happen between a man and a woman, you will understand that women are an empty vessel. It actually shows up in their physiology. Their physiology, they have an empty vessel in their stomach. Well, the uterus. It's empty until a baby is put there. They actually have a void inside them. And this can be I think, an uncomfortable feeling for many women. That's why it's so intoxicating when a man comes in. When a real man comes in and he can stimulate her in such a way, both physically, sexually, emotionally, intellectually, and if you're on this front, spiritually, that can make her feel full, make her feel stretched out, expanded, like her inner walls are being stretched. Men who have experienced this know what I'm talking about. You guys who are on the surface and don't understand how deep this stuff goes, you're going to think this is some misogynistic crap. Maybe women who see this and hear this might think this is misogynistic crap. And I would say to you ladies, you haven't experienced being with a man yet. You have not experienced what it's like to pleasantly and joyfully hand over your consciousness to another person. What that sense of freedom feels like, especially to a man that knows how to make you feel good about doing it, which is a skill. Unfortunately, it's a skill that is not taught, which is why I do what I do. Because I think it's important for men to not only dominate, but learn how to do it in a healthy, guiding way, such that the person who is submissive to them feels fantastic about doing it and actually feels empowered. And I'll say this, that's where true female power lies. Because when she feels nurtured and protected, if that energy, that emotional states, the physical states, the intellectual states all feel protected, such that she can freely just collapse into your frame, into your vessel, that's when she can give that back to you. And that becomes fuel to help make you better as a man. Do you need it? No. But that added juice, that it can do, it's like adding octane booster to your tank. Does your car need octane booster? No, it runs just fine. But you pour in that, 100 octane booster into the tank and you can get a lot more performance out of it. That's what happens when you've got this pure dominant submissive dynamic. That's when you can put your woman to task because you know what you need. You know her skill level. You know what she brings to the table. It's her characteristics, it's her skills. And you've monitored what she's about for anywhere 8 months to a year before you said, okay, now I can bring you onto my team. Because not only have you shown me your endurance, you've shown me that you want to be part of this team. And I've also observed that you have skills that can actually be applied here. Because truth be told, a woman can show her endurance, show her willingness to be on the team, but not have any good skills for you. Her skills just might not fit the bill. And that's when you have to have good knowledge of yourself, good knowledge of your program, and what you need for your life as a man. Does that mean that she's, a piece of shit? No. It just means she's more suitable for another guy. That's all that means. Or a woman could have all the enthusiasm in the world and great skills, but she's not showing that that she wants to be part of the team. She could have endurance, she could have skills, but she may not have that enthusiasm to show that she wants to be there. Or she could be wanting to be there, have the skills, but no endurance. She can't last. She can't last past 3 months. And after 3 months, she's sitting there trying to put your back up against the wall, saying, where's this going? What are we doing? What are we calling this? Are you going to marry me? Do you have plans for marriage? Right? Because she doesn't have the endurance. Because truth be told, standing by while the man is figuring you out for up to a year, that takes patience. It takes endurance. It takes emotional endurance. So I'll say this, when it works out really well like this, the dynamic is sweet. It is so sweet. And the man will make her feel good about simping. She will be actually more in her natural state. She will be in her softened state. She will be in her malleable state, her guidable state. And that's where your leadership comes into play. That's where your sense of leadership, your sense of healthy dominance will be put to test. Because let me tell you, if she does this for you and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you are going to end up hurting this girl tremendously. Because it takes a lot to get to that place for a woman, to have that much trust in you. So don't fuck around. You better know what you're doing. You better know yourself. And if you don't, get in touch with me. I've got a program. Follow the links in my bio here or in the description of the video. It will take you to my course, or you can get in touch with me for the personalized coaching. And I also do one-on-one calls where it's just a one-off sort of thing. But if you want consistency, you want to really develop this sort of thing instead of just taking pointers here and there, then you need to get on coaching for the 2-month period. And it extends even farther than that. I've got guys who are, technically done with coaching and they're still in touch with me because things arise, things change, things develop, and you get yourself into deeper and deeper aspects of the game. Now, when it's at that point, I'm not holding their hand as much because they need to figure it out on their own. But I'm still there. So after your 2 months, you're still going to be with me. All right, it's enough of that shit. So take it to heart, fellas. Domination is not a game. It's something to be taken quite seriously because you've got a lot at stake. But when done correctly, it will feel like the satisfaction when you find that right puzzle piece for that missing area and you click it into place and it all just makes sense. It all clicks into place. It's incredibly satisfying for both you and her. All right, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Pass this on to your friends, and we'll see you next time.